Look, let's talk about the title race now. Would you say it's a three-way split? It's obviously the top three all won. Villa, I mean, be careful because Dave Reed sat right next to you.
No, I know, but listen, I think I'd look at Arsenal and Man City and say it's between them two. I'm not writing Aston Villa. I just said to Dave that I'll judge Aston Villa in the next 4 or 5 games.
Okay.
But they've been outstanding. Aston Villa has been outstanding. Unai Emery has done a fantastic job. Even at the weekend when they're losing, I'm thinking, oh, they could drop points here, and then they turn it on. So, yeah, and the next run of games Villa have are very, very tough, where Man City's fixture of games are good. Man City could go top anyway next week. They play earlier. Arsenal are away at Everton, and Man City got West Ham at home, and yes, probably expect them in the form they're in at the minute to go top. So then it puts pressure back on Arsenal, and Arsenal at the moment, I think, are feeling the pressure with I know they had but the result on the weekend is a massive result for Arsenal, because even though they didn't play well, they still managed to get the 3 points.
If it was Chelsea in Aston Villa's position, would you then say it was a 3?
No, you know why? No. I still wouldn't. I don't, because I've watched Chelsea at this moment in time. I think that even though Chelsea's squad is bigger than Aston Villa's, the only reason I don't put Villa in it is because of your squad depth. I just feel like if someone gets an injury, like maybe a Konza who comes in and replaces him, I think he's outstanding. He's one of the best centre-backs there is. But in midfield, very strong. If you can keep that midfield free and then you bring in the likes of Buendia, then you've got a good chance. And then I think the problem position for you is the centre forward. Without Oli, I know Marlon's come in and done well, and Watkins is not really. He scored 2, and obviously he needs to get back and firing. But I think he needs to be challenged, Watkins, someone to put pressure on him. But it's a good question, that is. But no, I still think it wouldn't be Chelsea. But in 4 or 5 games, I think it's a different conversation. If Villa are still doing... Listen, we have to talk about Villa, because at this moment in time, Villa are in the title race. They're definitely in the title race. The job the manager's done is fantastic, out of this world. And they've been brilliant.
Is anyone else in that title race? Do you put anyone else?
No. I know what you're trying to get to, Vic, at the moment with Liverpool. And listen...
Not necessarily Liverpool, but I'm saying they are 10
Well,
points.
no, but they would be the next team I'd be thinking about, for sure, Liverpool, because they got the capability of going on a good run at the moment. I think the gap at this moment in time is a bit too big. But you never know. That's not to say if Man City or Arsenal start dropping points and Liverpool can go on that great run. But there's still a long way to go. As I said, ask me in February and March, it might be a different conversation. If Villa stayed there or thereabouts, they're 100% in the title race.
You might not be back here in February.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Look, Dave, we are about, as Clinton said, it's a really busy period, isn't it? And not only have we got all these games, but also we've got that window wide open. And then lots of people do shuffle about as well. So it's a busy period, right?
Yeah, and the table is so congested as well. Things can change on just a single weekend. But you're right, it is a crucial period coming up. Everyone loves the Christmas period. We can have a look at the next 6 fixtures for the current top 3. And interestingly, if you look at the Arsenal fixtures here, Arsenal failed to win all of those corresponding fixtures last season. Wow. And if you think about the kind of form that Arsenal are they in a bit of a mini wobble at the moment? I know they've got the result against Wolves, but that might strike a little bit of fear into Arsenal supporters, the fact that they couldn't get the job done against those sides in those fixtures last season. Then you look at Villa's next 3, Manchester United, Chelsea, and then they go to the Emirates. Maybe Manchester City might be looking at this and saying, we can really put the pressure on Arsenal between now and the new year. And then, as you say, we've got the transfer window coming. Is there any availability of players that maybe Arsenal, Manchester City could bring forward from their summer targets that might be able to help them? You wonder exactly whether there is going to be any financial wriggle room for Aston Villa, but if they feel like they can make a deal happen in order to push them towards Champions League football or maybe a title race, then maybe they might be able to find a way to do it. They did it last year with Marco Asensio and Marcus Rashford, so they have history of doing that. Unai Emery has managed to do fantastic work with that group of players so far. Can they kick on in the new year?
And what Dave could throw to me is, no one thought Leicester were going to do it, and Leicester did it. So he could throw that easily.
He won't, though.
No, he won't do, because he's professional. He is a professional. But they could do it, Villa. They could do it. Listen, those next 3 games are crucial to them. I didn't know them run of games that Arsenal have. That is tough. Man City have got some tough ones in there, but you'd probably want Man City's games at the moment. But the run of games, Arsenal's next 6 are really, really tough. That will That could define it. That could define it because Man City at the moment obviously are in great form. But you look at the run of games, they've got Villa. They've got Villa again to play, which is going to be a difficult game. Bournemouth, Liverpool, Forest who have picked up. Brighton's always a hard one. Everton away. So there's a lot of tough games in there for Arsenal. But at the same time, Vic, there's no easy games in the Premier League. People are fighting for their lives. People are trying to get into Europe. So it's going to be different. The only thing I worry about with Villa but they're doing well at that, is they got the Europa League. But I think they're already secured in it because so you can rest key players. But that's why I think with their squad, because they've got the Thursday, Sunday, but they've got a good chance. It's wide open. I think you lot are trying to sway my mind. You did know I used to play for Birmingham City, so I can't give them too much of their flowers because I won't be allowed back in the city on the blue half.
But just to final say on Aston Villa, they are an attractive prospect as well. So if any players thinking of a move in January, you'd go to Villa, wouldn't you?
100%. And the manager, innit, Dave?
Yeah, and if you look at Morgan Rogers, who's in amazing form at the moment, and really, you look at where he started this season, there were some Aston Villa fans that jeered Morgan Rogers in a Europa League game when he finally made a pass. And you look at how much he has improved this season. If you look at points won from goal involvements, there 12 points. His goals and assists have contributed to Aston Villa, only behind Bruno Fernandes. So you can see how vital he is for Aston Villa moving forward this season. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's talk about Arsenal then, because it wasn't the best performance and they knew it, that some of their players were really angry. What do we think about Victor Gyökeres? 15 touches there was for his 81 minutes. Gabriel Jesus, on the other hand, came on for a little cameo and had 9 touches.
Different, you know what it is? Different games, you play different strikers. That game against Wolves, Victor Gyökeres wasn't a striker. Do you know why? There's no space in behind. Wolves basically defended on the 6-yard, on their 18-yard box or their 6-yard box and said there's no space. Gyökeres is not a player that wants to come to the ball because that's not his game. What he wants to do is run down the channel and open up space for the likes of the Ezes in there, the Sakas and the Madueke, Martinelli, whoever's playing their older guards. So that game was totally different. With Jesus is a different footballer. You've seen him when he was at Man City. He can play on either wing, but he drops into little pockets and he's good technically. Really
so you're
good.
telling me that Arteta got that wrong and he should have started with Jesus?
No, I'd never say Arteta got it wrong. He hasn't got it wrong, but I think you see what Gyökeres offers Arsenal, which is different. He occupies defenders. So at Villa Park, I would have started Gyökeres in that game at Villa Park to test the likes of Konza, where he started Marino, where everything was in front of them, and that's what they want. You ask any defender, don't want to run back to their goal. With Wolves, the way Wolves defended deep, there was no space for Gyökeres, and you saw Jesus come on and made a big impact. But that result could be crucial to Arsenal at the end of the season. They win the game and they didn't score. They didn't score, did they? No. The goals are all scored by Wolves players, aren't they? But it's a big result. Not playing at your best and still getting 3 points could be a big result for Arsenal. I can guarantee you last year, Arsenal lose that game. You've
got about 10 seconds just to quickly say about your beloved Palace and how they did against City. Worrying performance from City, the fact that they're just galloping along there?
Yeah, Man City are very good. Palace missed a lot of chances. Palace are doing well though. But yeah, Man City are flying at the moment. I'd be worried if I was at Arsenal because they look like they're playing ever so well at the minute. They look like they're cooking very well at the moment.
That was me galloping, but you see it's cooking.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was
Come into Arsenal, really good club, really good team. Score goals, man, score goals. And sometimes I just think we just need to just give these players time, especially the fact that Arsenal have done so well this season. We're pulling them apart, we're scrutinising them so much, but they haven't won the league for so long. There is so much more pressure on them than, say, a Manchester City when they were cruising to those victories. And they have had a lot of injuries as well. And they do have a certain amount of depth, although amusing that Arteta was complaining about the lack of depth. But they have had so many injuries in one position as well. But I just think Gyökeres, I do think he'll come good. I think he just needs a little bit of time. And if others, you don't agree, I think if others are stepping up now, that's great, but that's what squad is. That's what a squad is for, is to absorb when one player hasn't quite
made it as yet. Say £64 million. That's a lot of money for someone who's not ready, right?
Well, I mean, if you look at it based on who costs the most, he cost less than Havertz. So if you pick the team based on transfer fees, Havertz would still be your number one. And obviously Arsenal didn't pursue Isak in the summer. They chose to spend less on a striker and more elsewhere.
Might have been the right call looking at him.
Exactly. And also you look at Sesko, who was another option they really strongly considered, and he's hardly excelled at Man United. Even Nick Waltermada, exactly. Sesko's younger, so if it doesn't really work out, there's resale value. But a lot of the strikers who did come into the league this summer haven't really kicked on the way people would expect, apart from perhaps Ekitike and maybe Nick Waltermada.
Come on then, Jackie. Wolves, you got your Wolves colours on this morning. 2 points. The gap is huge now, isn't it? Is it about avoiding the Derby record? Have you given up all hope for Wolves in terms of survival? There was certainly a lot more spirit in that Wolves team yesterday.
Gosh, where'd you start with Wolves? 2 points from 16 games is clearly abysmal. And what you saw last night isn't the first time. I think some people think it's the first time they played like that. It's not. They played like that at Aston Villa as well, and they've had halves, which is not enough, clearly. Don't get me wrong, I'm not defending them. But they've had their moments. The majority of the season, they've, say, competed in the first half a lot of the time and then conceded, and then it's been a case of not taking the chances when they've come and then just, oh, here we go again. There's been a lot of that about it. So, for example, in September, when they were a goal up away in North London again at Tottenham, and it looked as though they were going to get the first league win of the season, and they conceded 94th minute equaliser to Polinia, deflated everybody. The following home game, they were beating Brighton till late on, conceded a late goal, a late equaliser, and they've lost every game since. So I do think had that have happened, then the rest of the season so far wouldn't have been quite so appalling. But they're just not scoring goals. And last night, 2 own goals. They've conceded 4 own goals in the last 9 games, only scoring 4 goals in that time, one of them being, a penalty. And they're just not scoring goals. Their number 9, who they staved off a bid from Newcastle United for, gave him a bumper new contract, hasn't scored a single goal in the Premier League all season, apart from a penalty. So the fact, I think really the main issue has been the last summer transfer window, which was not just selling your best players, because you knew that Cunha and Aït-Nouri were going to go, but signing players for quite a lot of money still, who had no Premier League track record and were clearly just not good enough, and not having any kind of player in the Cunha mould or similar to be able to feed Jurgen Strand-Larsen has been a real failing. I think nobody's talking about the George Mendes thing. It's all very quiet in the background. I think people have forgotten that he's still kind of lurking in the background, has the chairman's ear, the chairman being a big issue for Wolves fans.
The part in that with Gabriel Magalhaes especially being absent, but again last night another injury for Ben White, and suddenly they're looking a little bit short despite having the deepest squad perhaps in the whole of Europe. They're looking a little bit short, and it's starting to get a little bit worrying, I think, with their defensive performances.
It's been a wobble, but if you're wobbly winners, then what's the problem? I mean, look, I see that side of it. The first shot on target, I think, was in the 68th minute. And obviously the injuries, but they did have Saliba back last night. They had Trossard back. Rice was playing. I mean, the only one really that is Gabriel long term, and he's coming back in Jan.
And Mosquera, the centre back as well, which adds to that depth issue. Sorry.
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? At this stage in the season, would you rather just be getting points on the board, or would you rather be playing well and looking like a team who can continue to play well through the rest of the season? Because in the last few weeks, I think Sam, you'll know more about this than me, but with the possible exception of the Tottenham game, where I did think they were good, they've not really been convincing for a while, have they? And I can't work out if I think is it mental, is it technical? I mean, it's not an issue of depth. They've got the best depth in the country, but something about them seems to be sort of restricting their performances a little bit. And what I would worry about if I was an Arsenal fan is that after they lost to Aston Villa a few weeks ago, when they conceded that late winner, all the players reacted to that. The way they were like hammering the floor, they were devastated on the ground. You shouldn't be reacting like that to a Premier League game in December. That was like seeing the Bayern Munich players after the 1999 Champions League final, or the Ajax players after the 2019 Champions League semi-final second leg. Like it just struck me as almost like an overly emotional reaction to just losing a Premier League game.
At least they cared. You'd rather that than a bit blasé. They threw bodies on the line to stop that shot that ultimately meant they lost the game late on. Wouldn't you be more concerned if they didn't react like that?
No, I wouldn't, because I think that at that level, I think kind of motivation is basically a given. And what I would want to see more from a team who was trying to win the league was the mentality to shake off any little thing that can go wrong, rather than the sort of brittleness that gets too upset if you happen to lose a game to a good team in December.
I'm not sure I'd agree with the word brittleness, but I think I agree with the overarching premise that emotion, and they've had that for a while, and I think that stems a lot from Arteta himself, and I think one of his great strengths is his intensity. And you talk to anyone at Arsenal and they will say that he drives the standards every minute of every day. It's extraordinary the amount of energy and commitment he puts into the job. and that bleeds into the squad and into the players, and he's signed players who have a similar character. And I think it's a great strength that they have that drive and determination. But I agree with you, Jack, that I was struck by that reaction after the Villa goal. It felt a bit much, to be honest, and I wonder if they're kind of so hyped up and so stressed out and so determined to get over the line this year that they just lost that little bit of composure to an extent in the last few weeks. And I think back to when City won, 4 of the last 5 titles. Every year, City went on a run, I don't know, for about 6 weeks or so, maybe even more, and they would just cruise to victories. No stress, 6 out of 10, 2-0, go home, job done. No one runs too hard, no one gets injured, easy. Arsenal haven't got to that point yet where they can coast to victories. And I think in the current Premier League and with the demands of the schedule, you need to be able to have that, I think, that coasting, that relaxing, just get through a few games without any drama. And Arsenal, it feels like there's always drama around them, but none of that is to say they won't win the league. I think they're the best team in the league when they play. They've got the best squad. They're on it. I think they're still doing it.
Still your favourites?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've got every ingredient you need. It's just that little emotional level, and Arsenal fans will hate me saying it, I'm sure, but I think sometimes it's a bit too high. They could just tone it down a notch.
And look, Christmas came early, didn't it? It wasn't just one own goal. Here, I have another one, 2 own goals. I mean, 2 decent crosses from Bukayo Saka from the right-hand side. Victor Gyökeres, and you saw him in the flesh last night. Is he becoming a problem for Arsenal?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think he's really, apart from Burnley away in early November, he's not really had a game where the fans have gone, yes, that's what we've signed, that's the man, that's the vision we had for the number 9 position. I think he's struggling to adapt to the system. I think he's struggling to adapt to the league. And last night, obviously, as we'll come on to discuss, I'm sure, with Jackie, the Wolves played much better last night than at any point probably in the last few weeks.
But that was a huge opportunity against the rock bottom side.
Exactly. You come into that game and think, on paper, this is the game for Gyökeres, who was regarded as a bit of a flat track bully when he signed. This is what Arsenal needs, someone who can plunder goals against the lesser teams. And he barely had a touch in the first half, and he's currently got an unfortunate habit of sort of being late to every pass and every cross in the box, and it's almost like he's sliding in after the ball's gone.
Do you think that's a confidence thing or a technical thing or a fitness thing? Or
I think it's a technical thing, to be honest. He doesn't hold the ball up in the way you'd expect someone of his sort of physical stature to do so, but obviously it's a big jump from the Portuguese league and indeed the Championship before that, so there are understandable reasons for him not being physically and technically quite as sharp as you'd expect. But I think we're in December now. He's played a lot of games, arguably too many games given injuries to other players, and I think Arsenal fans will be understandably worried at what they're seeing from him.
Do you think he's Arsenal's best number 9?
No, absolutely not.
Where is he in the pecking order?
Right now, I think he's behind Mikel Merino and Gabriel Jesus, who came back and made an impact in midweek.
And Havertz when he's fit.
I think he'll go straight back in. He'll be the man.
The 3 names you've mentioned there, apart from Gyökeres, are not number 9s as well. That's quite damning on.
Doesn't mean he won't come good, though. I mean, we expect the world now, don't we? We've signed this player and he scored this many goals in this league, therefore